They say he's everywhere, hiding in the darkness, lurking just out of sight. You think you're safe until you feel that icy chill on the back of your neck. They call him the Slender Man. And once you see him, it's already too late. When I was little, my mom used to scare me with stories about him just to make me sleep. Every night, before the lights went out, she would whisper about the man with no face, whose long arms would stretch out to grab naughty kids who stayed awake past their bedtime. I would pull the covers up over my head, heart pounding, too scared to even breathe. I never knew then that her warnings were more than just stories. They were hints of something real, something dark that haunted the night. Mia, Kevin, and Emily were best friends who loved a good adventure. One cold night, when the wind made the trees moan and the moon hid behind dark clouds, they decided to visit the old Willow Creek orphanage. The town folks said the orphanage was cursed and that strange things happened there, but Mia was brave and wanted proof for her online posts. Kevin felt very scared, and Emily tried to ease his fears with light jokes, but deep down, all three knew something was off. When they reached the orphanage, its broken windows and creaking doors made the place look like a forgotten ruin. They stepped inside slowly, each footstep echoing through the empty hallways. The walls were covered in peeling paint and old, faded posters. In one room, they found broken toys scattered on the floor and old photographs that looked like they belonged to another world. As they moved from room to room, their playful chatter slowly died away, replaced by a heavy, quiet feeling. Suddenly they heard a faint sound, a soft scraping like nails on wood. They stopped in their tracks. Out of the corner of his eye, Kevin saw a shadow move. Then they saw him, a tall, thin figure standing by a broken window that looked out onto a dead, silent yard. The figure's head had no face, and it seemed to tilt just a little as if it was looking right at them. "Let's go," Kevin cried out, his voice shaking with fear. But Mia, trying to be brave, laughed and said it was just a trick of the light. Emily's face, however, showed pure terror as she took a step back. The air turned cold and heavy, and the silence in the orphanage felt like it was closing in on them. When they finally decided to run, the old building seemed to come alive. The doors slammed shut behind them and strange whispers echoed down the hallways. Outside, the night was even darker, and their hearts pounded in their chests as they ran. By the time they reached safety, they realized Emily was missing. The next day, the police came to search the orphanage. They found strange, rough sketches on the walls, drawings of a faceless man with long, outstretched arms. Mia could not sleep that night, and Kevin's family soon moved far away. Emily had simply vanished, leaving everyone with a deep, aching mystery. Tyler was a young man who loved making videos for his YouTube channel. He was known for his brave challenges and funny comments, and his fans loved his adventures. One day, his viewers dared him to go into Blackwood Forest, a large, dark forest where people had been known to disappear. Tyler was excited by the idea and decided to record everything. Tyler entered the forest with his camera, laughing and talking about how nothing could scare him. The tall trees and thick bushes made the forest look like a maze. The wind whispered through the leaves, and the ground was soft with fallen leaves. At first, everything seemed normal. He joked about the spooky sounds and even waved at imaginary ghosts. But soon the atmosphere changed. The sunlight faded and deep shadows started to take over. Tyler's light-hearted talk turned into nervous remarks. In the distance, he noticed a dark figure standing behind the trees, a tall, shadowy shape that moved slowly. Every time Tyler looked away, the figure seemed to get closer. "Is someone there?" he called out, his voice barely audible. The forest answered only with the rustle of leaves and the creaking of branches. His camera shook as he started to run, the sound of his heavy breathing mixing with the pounding of his heart. The forest felt alive, as if it wanted him to stay. Then, without warning, the video went dark. Tyler's camera dropped to the ground, capturing a final glimpse of a long, pale hand reaching out from behind a tree. Days later, his phone was found by the river, still recording. When his fans watched the footage, they heard Tyler's panicked shouts and felt the terror in his voice. Many said they felt a chill, as if the dark figure was still out there watching. Jessica was a quiet student who started having bad dreams. Every night, she saw the same scary figure, a man with no face and long twisting arms that reached out as if to grab her. At first, these were just dreams, but soon her waking hours were filled with a fear she could not shake. It began slowly. At school, she would sit in the back of the classroom, her eyes darting to the dark corners even during the day. Her once warm smile faded, and whispers of her strange behavior started to spread. Then, one by one, her friends began to disappear. First, it was Amy, the always cheerful girl who brightened every room. Next, it was Lily, known for her kind heart and gentle laughter. With each loss, the emptiness grew inside Jessica, and she felt as if she were standing on the edge of an unseen abyss. Desperate to understand the horror that haunted her, Jessica began to draw. In her small, worn sketchbook, she filled page after page with images of the faceless man. At first, the drawings were rough sketches, but as nights turned into weeks, they became more detailed and vivid. She would stay up late by a weak lamp's light, her pencil flying over the paper as if it had a life of its own. Every line she drew made the figure seem more real and closer than before. Her art quickly became a topic of worry. Teachers noticed the strange images in her notebooks, and soon even the local police began to take interest. They compared her sketches with old drawings found near places where people had gone missing. The similarities were too clear to ignore. Jessica tried to tell them, "He's real. I see him every night. He's coming for me," but her words were met with concern and dismissal, just the ramblings of a scared girl. Each day, the air around her seemed to grow colder. At home, she would sit by the window, staring out into the dark streets as if expecting to see that same tall, shadowy figure lurking in the distance. Her parents noticed the change, but every time they asked, Jessica would say it was only her imagination. Deep down, they knew something was wrong, but they couldn't understand the depths of her terror. One night, as the wind howled outside and rain tapped against the windows, Jessica decided she would not let the nightmares win. Determined, she locked herself in her room. "I'm not going to sleep," she whispered to herself, her voice trembling with both fear and resolve. She sat by her desk, her eyes fixed on her latest drawing, a detailed picture of the faceless man standing in a dark doorway. Hours passed in heavy silence as she fought to keep her eyes open. Then, just as the night grew almost unbearably quiet, there was a sudden, frantic knock on her door. Her heart jumped. "Mom? Dad? "Who's there?" she called out, her voice echoing in the still room. The knock came again, louder and more desperate this time. Her parents rushed in, their faces etched with worry, only to find the room empty. The door was ajar, and on her desk lay a scattering of sketches and a note written in shaky handwriting. "He's real. He's coming." In that moment, the room felt colder than ever, as if the darkness had seeped in through every crack. Despite the frantic search that followed, Jessica was never found. Rumors spread through the town, and whispers grew louder with each passing day. Some said they saw a shadow near her window on dark nights. Others claimed to hear soft footsteps in the empty hallways of her home. The mystery of her disappearance left a mark on everyone who had known her. To this day, people talk about Jessica and her haunted sketches. Her story is a reminder that sometimes, the nightmares we try to escape can become all too real. And in the quiet moments before sleep, if you listen closely, you might just hear a faint whisper on the wind, warning you, he's coming. The Harper family had just moved into an old house near the woods. They thought it was a new beginning, far from the busy city. But soon their young son Tommy started talking about a mysterious friend who visited him at night. Tommy described this friend as a tall man who came silently into his room, watching him from the shadows. At first, his parents thought it was just his imagination. Over time, Tommy began to leave small drawings on his bedroom wall. In simple lines and bright colors, he drew a tall figure with endless arms that reached out into the darkness. His innocent art grew more detailed with each passing night, and his parents began to worry as the drawings grew eerily lifelike. One stormy night, when the rain tapped against the windows and the wind howled like a lost soul, Tommy's soft voice was heard calling out for his parents. His father went to check on him, but when he opened Tommy's door, the room was empty. The bed was made, his toys were neatly arranged, but there was no sign of Tommy. The front door was left wide open, and muddy footprints led out into the dark, wet forest. The family searched for days, calling his name into the stormy night, but Tommy was nowhere to be found. Neighbors later told stories of hearing a small voice whispering, "Help me, he's here," when the wind was just right. The memory of Tommy and his mysterious friend spread fear throughout the community. Even as the years passed, people still spoke about these events in hushed tones. The story of the Slender Man grew with each retelling. His name became a part of every scary story told by parents to warn their children. They said he lurks in the corners of old buildings, in the deep silence of dark forests, and even in the quiet whispers of a lonely house. Sometimes on cold, quiet nights, you might hear a faint voice or see a shadow move just outside your window. It might be just the wind, or it might be the Slender Man, waiting, watching, and ready to pull you into the darkness. Would you dare to listen to his call?